Vice RP and see if there's anything to read out. Then they had a conversation. Yeah. All right, I think we should get things started. No sense in delaying since it's 10 o'clock or 9:59. Welcome, everyone. My name is Andy Petronic. Thanks for being here. I'm here with Becca Borowski, who's running our affiliate program and is basically master of all this stuff that I'm going to go over. Thanks everybody for being on mute to start with. Normally I have to go through some of the ground rules of a big mass call like this. One of the ground rules is please mute yourself so that we're not interfered with by ambient noise. And if you do have a question, I don't think there's enough of us. We didn't really know how many people to expect this morning. But I think given that there's only about 10 of us, feel free to unmute yourself anytime to ask a question. There's also if you look at the controls in Zoom chat, there's also a raise your hand control. You can raise your hand and let us know that you've got a question. You can do that if you want to, but I think with the limited number of people that are on the call, you're welcome to just unmute yourself and ask. The intention this morning is that this is a conversation, not just Andy lecturing on, the things he knows best. Because the things I know best might not be the things that you need to hear about building and being effective in building your team. So I've got my notes, and I'm going to go through this PowerPoint that I put together, but by all means, this is supposed to be interactive, and it may go down some wormholes that are not necessarily covered in my PowerPoint, and that's totally fine. Totally fine. I would like to stay on the theme, though, if at all possible, of doing an effective job at building your team for the challenge. So let's just dig in. I'm assuming everybody can see this PowerPoint, so if you can't, raise your hand or chime in and let me know, but I'm assuming you guys can. So building your team, the things we're going to talk about today is describing the challenge. What's an effective way to talk to other people about the challenge? I kind of equate this to your elevator pitch. Some of you probably worked on that for your business. If you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, you should be able to describe the challenge in probably, a short version is 10 seconds. A medium version is about a minute, and a long version, is like a 10-minute conversation. Leveraging your existing networks, some of the networks you may or may not have thought of, there are people that are we'll just talk about that. We'll talk about the appropriate use of tools, phone, email, and social media, social networks. We'll talk about some of the printable resources for your business and your players. Printable resources and online resources that are graphical in content. We'll talk about organizing your pregame huddle, why that's important and what it is and what would make it effective. And then we'll talk about preparing for a successful preliminary event. Hi, if you just joined us, could you put yourself on mute so that we don't hear stuff? And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. Just unmute yourself and ask away. The mute button should be in the Zoom chat controls. Usually that means hovering over it, and it'll drop down some controls. Becca, you can actually manage the whole group if you have ability to do that, Beck?
I do. I believe so.
Manage participants. There's also a chat window that if you guys want to open up a group chat window, I forgot about this. Feel free to chat.
Yeah, and I'll be keeping an eye. So if you guys post messages in there, I'll make sure they get seen and answered. We can share links there too.
Somebody already asked just a second ago, is anybody having problems with sound? Is anybody having problems with sound? Or can anybody not hear? If you can't hear me, raise your hand. How are you going to hear me? You see my lips moving and you don't hear anything.
Oh, I think I can't mute people, Andy. Only you can.
Okay. Oops. I can mute my phone though. Stop that. Decline. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's get into this, describing the whole life challenge. And like I said, guys, unmute yourself and ask questions as we go. I want to make sure we get everything in and we have time to answer your questions. There's a lot on this slide. These are just my notes. The thing that kind of the way that I describe the challenge, I have 3 versions of my elevator pitch. One is somebody literally, it's an elevator pitch. Somebody asks me in the elevator, what is the whole life challenge? And this is what I say. The whole life challenge is an 8-week online and in your life challenge / game. I pick one or the other to see how much of an impact you can have on your body, your fitness, and your lifestyle habits. It's short, concise. It's 10 seconds. Person says, "Thanks a lot. See you later." Boom. I don't have to tell them anything else. They get an idea of what the challenge is. It's not very thorough. It's not very complete, but it satisfies the 10-second requirement. These are the bullet points that I use to discuss elements of the challenge when I have longer, when I have about a minute. So if it goes beyond that 10 seconds and I can talk to somebody about more things, I always start with it starts with an initial assessment to figure out kind of where you are, where you're starting, and it ends with a final assessment. It's 8 weeks. And each day during the challenge, this is bullet number 2, based on the 7 daily habits, you check into the website. The 7 daily habits, now it's important that you know what the 7 daily habits are so you can talk about them. 7 daily habits are nutrition, exercise, stretching, sleep. Oh, geez. Now, that's funny that I just said that. Now I'm stumbling. Lifestyle practices, water, and reflecting. And the idea is that you make small, sustainable improvements in each one of these habits over the course of 8 weeks so that you don't overwhelm yourself with seeing how much of a change you can make. Rather, you develop these healthy habits in each of these areas and in an attempt to see them stick. That's kind of my 1 minute talk. So I would say my 1 minute would include this part and then these first 2 bullets. And if I have more time, then I go into more details. What are the elements of each one of these areas? What is the nutrition plan? What are the kind of the philosophies around this challenge versus other challenges? I talk about the leaderboard and earning points. I talk about interacting with your team and remaining accountable to your teammates online. It's funny with these things. I can't tell if I'm being clear or not because I don't have because I can't see you guys. So, does anybody have any questions on this? Sorry. Does anybody have any questions on this in this topic, this category? You can either put it in the group chat or just sound out.
No, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk next about leveraging your networks. The first thing, and I can't really emphasize this enough, is find who are your raving fans. Like, that is really the foundation for building an effective team. Who are the people in your network, in your gym, in your community, among your clients, if you're the owner of a company, who are the people that literally you mention something in passing and suddenly they're doing it. They've downloaded the app that you use. For me, I'm one of the people who I'm a raving fan of is Tim Ferriss. If Tim breathes it, I basically go, at least I've checked it out, like, instantly. I don't even know Tim, but I love his stuff, and I love the stuff that he's up to. Now, he wouldn't know to contact me because he doesn't know I'm one of his raving fans, but he's got a lot of raving fans. You guys probably don't have quite as many. Who are they? Identify who they are and reach out to them first. And when I say reach out to them, I don't mean compose a form email and send it to all 5 with a, hey, without a first name in the title. I mean personally. These are people that you either see on a regular basis and you talk to in person. And I'm kind of getting into what I'm going to talk about in the next slide, but in person is the best. Absolutely the best. Phone is next best. Talk to them, tell them why you're doing it. And think about, this is the last bullet on this slide. Think about the different communities you're a part of. Everybody, you might be obviously looking at your business or at your gym, but everybody's a member of more than one community. I coach my kids' baseball team and soccer team. I know tons of parents on those teams. I'm a member of the school. I do stuff at the school, so I know tons of parents at the school. Those are kind of the most obvious networks for me. I also do some music playing, and I know some musicians. But think outside the box. Where are the people that people in your world that might have an impact, that the Whole Life Challenge might have an impact on, that you would like to see participate with you on your team? If you're doing this in a physical location, and this is an important piece, this section here, you want to give people social proof that what you're doing is valid merely by the fact that other people are showing up and signing up. So if you're doing it in a gym or in your business, make a sign-up sheet. It doesn't even matter if the sign-up sheet is not something people are putting their names on. If you're recreating the sign-up sheet every day and adding names to it, and it's typed up, or not typed up, but computer upped and printed, that's fine. You want to give people the idea that the team is growing. If it's a virtual team and you don't have a physical location, at the risk of being too annoying, I don't think you want to send an email to your team every day. But every few days, send them a list. Say, hey, look, the team's growing, guys. It's really exciting. Here's the new size. Here's the new members of the team. You can send email addresses if you want to. If you want everybody to be connected by email and you don't think that would upset people, you can just send first names if you want to. If you think not security, but privacy is an issue. But you want to give people the idea that this is something that it will help them have a better experience, and it will jog their mind into thinking, wow, maybe I should invite someone to come do this without you directly asking. It's really, really powerful. And in the same vein as leveraging your network is the tools at your dispense to invite people. In person is the best, phone is the next best. One of the things that happens in my world of I've been the owner of a CrossFit gym for the last 12 years. And a very common thing to do in a class environment where you have 10, 12, 15, or even 20 people is to mention it to everyone and say, hey guys, the Whole Life Challenge is coming up. Hope everybody signs up. See you later. Have a good day. That leads to very limited results. It might work for some of your more motivated fans, but what I've always found is taking people one at a time, grabbing them by the hand and saying, hey, I like to point people out that I know, and I say, hey, have you signed up for the challenge yet? Why not? And I depending on the person, you have to know your audience, but doing that publicly so that other people get to hear why or why not somebody's signing up for the challenge. And hopefully they are, and if they're not, bringing them over to the thing and writing their name down or writing it down for them on the sign-up sheet. It's a very powerful way to invite people publicly to participate in the game. And if you don't have that ability, you're not in front of people, pick up the telephone. I have a friend who's a very successful mortgage broker, and he talks about, he regularly talks about how, email is a great way of leveraging your time and engaging lots and lots and lots and lots of people simultaneously that you couldn't do before, but it's not the best tool for selling mortgages. The best tool is still picking up the telephone and dialing. So I really encourage you guys to make use of InPhone and personal. Email is good. Here's the thing I would say about email, and we're going to talk a second about some of the tools that we have available for you inside the website as samples for you to build a good contextual email. Share your story. Be personal. Why are you doing this? What's in it for you personally? Share your why. Why? If it's just because you want to help everybody else, that's not good enough. Yeah, I mean, this is great. I mean, we all are in that. We all, I mean, I can't imagine that anybody on this phone call is not in this because they want to help other people. That's kind of a given. There's got to be some reason. Now, I've done every challenge, sometimes unwillingly. This will be, I think, my 11th. And each time, and if I want to be effective in the challenge personally, if I want it to not just be a waste of my personal time, not in terms of supporting the world of the Whole Life Challenge, but in terms of me, Andy, personally, I have to come up with a why every challenge. Why bother? Why am I doing this? And I usually write a couple of notes down about, what my why, what am I working on? What's my intention for this challenge? And I always get something out of the challenge. So if you don't know that for yourself, or if you're a leader of a community that has coaches that are, or managers who are going to be responsible for small groups of people, they need to know their why. Personally know their why, not just because they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart to help everybody else, and they really got all this shit down and licked, and they don't really need this. You need to have a why. So share that. Doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be, voluminous. And then last and least, I think everybody's sensitive now to spamming people in social media. We have tools built into the site for sharing your team and inviting people to your team via social media. I'm not suggesting that you don't use those, but they're really the least effective method. They're like blasting your networks, and okay, it might work. You might get a few people who are doing that, but if you're not creating value for people in your messaging via social media, I would say if you want to do an effective social media campaign for joining your team, create something that someone would want to open, whether it's related to the Whole Life Challenge or not. So if it's an Instagram, some sort of a compelling picture with a lesson or a quote or a workout that a workout they could do that day, or something motivational, and say, oh, by the way, the Whole Life Challenge starts. Here's a link to join my team. So it's not a advertisement for the Whole Life Challenge. That will not, that will have limited effect, limited impact. God. I have no idea how to stop this. I just answered the phone and hung up on him. That was Michael, my business partner. I hope he understands. Like, he's going to call me back in a second. Let's see. I'm going to put it on airplane mode. That should probably stop it. Boom. Done. Does anybody have questions about this part? Questions or comments or things that you've seen work really well or things you've seen not work? Either I'm really, really good or I'm boring the crap out of all of you. I'm going to go with I'm really, really good, and I'm covering everything you need to hear. All right, I'm going to continue moving along. See, how do I do this without, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to just show you some of the resources that we have inside the site in case some of you have not checked these things out. So why is the link not working? There we go. Oh, I'm going to have to change my screen share. Hang on one second. Whoop. Okay, we are on the web now, and this is the quick start checklist. Just so you know how I got here, you guys all should, when you log into the website, you should have a link that takes you to the partner resources. And these are broken down into these different categories: understanding the game, tools for building your team, prepping for the challenge, during the challenge, and then completing the challenge. I'm going to go back to the quick start checklist. This is a list that I put together that I use personally at CrossFit LA for many years in building our teams there. It's broken down basically chronologically, and each element is linked so that you have the resources right at your disposal. I used to print this out and check things off as I went so that I would make sure I didn't miss things. If you don't want to do something, it's fine. Just cross it off the list. But it's a great resource for doing that. Let's go back real quick. So one of the things I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation is that I'd show you where these tools are for building your team. If you click on this link, tools for building your team, this will give you the downloadable links for an in-person sign-up sheet, the workout scorecard, posters, banners, Facebook, Twitter, cover photos. That's where to go to find that stuff. Oops. Let's talk about other tools to build your team. So the contact by phone is just a sample of a script for talking to your raving fans. Again, we've already gone through this, but how to describe the challenge and what to say. These are also notes that kind of elevator pitch notes. What I wanted to point you to in this section was the email sequence that we've built out already. We've got a sample timeline, and obviously we're closer than 3 to 4 weeks away from the challenge. But these emails, which are already written, are samples for you. They might not be written in your style. They might not sound like your voice. Well, yeah, that's right. They're not. So take them, use them, copy them, paste them, and then change them so that people know they're coming from you. By the way, there are tools. Some of you probably use something like MailChimp or like a Constant Contact or something like that. It's a great way to get an email out that is sent to lots of people. Like, let's say you have 300 or 400 people in your network or more. You can insert their first name, and each one will come out personally to them. If you don't have a way of doing that, Gmail, if those of you that use Gmail, there are some tools that you can, some add-ons to Gmail that you can get there that do like mail merges right from your Gmail account. You're limited to 500 emails that way, but that way you can still personalize those emails. Again, this is the third best way of doing it. So know that I'm giving you strategies for the third best way. Go do the first and second first. But this will take you through a strategy right up until the start of the challenge, and it's very complete. By the way, in case you didn't know, registration is open through day 10 of the challenge. So the challenge begins on Saturday, the 16th. The registration will close on Sunday night at midnight, the following week. So if you do have stragglers, because one of the things that very often happens is you get this big momentum that happens at the start of the challenge. You do your preliminary event. People start to see, the social proof thing happening physically in the gym or in your community, in your company, and people want to jump in. So they can still jump in. They're going to be behind. They're going to be a day or two behind in points or 3 days behind in points. That doesn't mean that the challenge could be any less effective for them. Okay, let's go back to the resources page. Another feature that you'll find on the website when you check into your site is this thing called Unpaid Players. That is something that we've included in your list of people on your team so that you know the names of the people who've gone to the website, created a username and password, but who have not paid. You do not have to do anything with these people. It's not required. You won't get paid on them, and they're not participating in the game. But they are there for you. That's for your benefit to go in and say, hey, I see you played around with the website enough to create a username and password. What's holding you back from signing up or just engaging in a dialogue with them if you want to? Certainly not required. I also want to show you, where's the sample blog post? Am I missing it?
Oh, you know what? Can you hear me, Andy?
Yeah.
Click on the see all 8 articles because it's only showing you 6, so I think it's one of the hidden 2.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I missed that button. So here's a sample blog post, and then here's sample Twitter and Facebook sample posts. Here's the blog post. Again, these are written in our voice, our language. Definitely not yours, but these are just here for you to use as inspiration for a post that's similar. Again, the more personal you can make it, the better. And that goes for, we've purposely built the challenge the way we have to give you the ability to customize it and make it your own. So one of the things that I tell people, and this is a more advanced tip is once you've done the challenge once or twice, if you want to make any modifications to any of the rules, literally any of the rules, you can do that. There's no worldwide whole life challenge police that's going to come in and arrest you for violation of the global WLC rules. We don't have referees or umpires. We've had some communities that have allowed people at the performance level to take whey protein powder. Okay, great. You can do that. You can do that for any of the nutrition rules. The nutrition rules are really the place with the most flexibility for you to make modifications to the guidelines. The important thing is that the people on your team are all playing with the same set of rules, especially if you're going to give away prizes or whatnot. But as long as you do that and make it very clear to your players, the modifications, feel free to do that. I mean, we did it that way on purpose so that you guys know your players, you know your community. You're welcome to make it yours that way. Let's go back to partner resources. Sample Facebook and Twitter posts. More stuff. I think you guys get the idea. Any questions here?
None for me.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move into preparation for the challenge and the preliminary event. And I'm just going to stay in this window. This is it's in the PowerPoint, but I'll just stay in this window so we're not jumping back and forth. The two things you should be thinking about planning right now is your pregame huddle and your preliminary event. The pregame huddle happens before the preliminary event. It happens before the start of the challenge. In a perfect world, the preliminary event happens on Saturday, the first day of the challenge, Saturday the 16th. You could do it Sunday. You could do makeups for people that are out of town on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, or let them do it at their leisure when they can. But the pregame huddle is something that you want to do on, say, like Wednesday before the challenge begins, or Tuesday. Something typically we've done in the evening when people finish work and we close down the other things going on. You'll need a computer. You'll need a depending on the size of your community, you'll need a computer and you'll need a projector, and obviously space to put people. And the first and probably most important thing is make sure you know the rules. Make sure you've reviewed the rules. You can speak clearly. There are a couple of rule changes this year, or this challenge, that are pretty significant that you guys, some of you, I'll just review them real quick for those of you that are old-time players or second-time or third-time players. First one is every category now, there's 7 daily habits. Each one receives 5 points. So like nutrition gets 5 points, sleep gets 5 points, which is a new one. Hydration gets 5 points. Now, everyone besides sleep is a 5 or 0. If you did it, you get 5 points. If you didn't do it, you get 0 points. Nutrition is the exception, and nothing's changed with that. Each day you start with 5 points and you lose a point for each infraction of a rule. I already mentioned one of the other changes. We've replaced supplementation with sleep. That's not to say we don't think supplementation is still important, but we feel that sleep is more important, and sleep is more of a lifestyle habit that is a more difficult nut to crack for most people. And we wanted to figure out a way to include it. Now here's the third change. Both sleep and water, you must go into your profile page and set your prescription for yourself. We are not going to tell you anymore what the right amount of water is or what the right amount of sleep is. We'll have guidelines on the site. The site's not, there's more guidelines to come that will show up on the website in the next 5 days. But we'll put in there, kind of what the guidelines have been up until this point. But, look, if you live in a hot climate, you're going to need more water than other people. If you're an athlete, you're going to need more water than other people. If you're sedentary most of the time, except for you're walking around the block, you may need less. The idea around water is that it's enough to keep you awake and alert and conscious. The sleep requirement, the same thing. We can't profess to know what the right amount of sleep is for you. So at the beginning of the challenge, before the challenge begins, you're going to have to go in and give yourself a prescription. So one of the important things to know is what your average amount of sleep is now. If you're averaging 5 hours of sleep a night, don't go in and set a prescription for yourself for 7 hours. That's just ludicrous. You might make it for a couple of days, a great intention, but it's not going to be sustainable. It may only be 5 or 10 minutes more than what you're currently getting. Remember, my guidance for you guys as coaches and as managers and leaders of the challenge for your teams is giving people, guiding people towards making changes in their life that are small and sustainable, so that it's not just an 8-week challenge. It's the 8 weeks is the start, the stepping stone for the rest of their life. And what can they maintain? What will they be able to maintain? So those two things are new changes that people will need to know about and go in and do before the system will allow them to enter a score on the first day. I see the question in the chat room about the some of those habits. Everything is updated in the complete game rules. We've got to get some of the references changed in the partner resources. I'm reading the chat and trying to talk at the same time. Tony, I'm not sure what you mean. Blog poster set up for November 8th, habit as well. The habits, I don't believe, the lifestyle practices have not been put in for the current challenge. Is that right, Becca?
Correct. I think that's the one thing that needs to be updated are the habits.
We are going to, those will go probably in the next 24 hours. So when you log into your page and go to the admin, you'll see all 8 lifestyle practices. For your players, those are hidden and secret. We can't prevent you from telling them if you want to. We would suggest that you don't. It's like unwrapping it's like telling them what their Christmas present, or unwrapping the Amazon package comes and your wife or husband opens it up for you. And you're like, Jesus, it's mine. It's my present. I want to open it. So I would suggest waiting. The reason we tell you guys in advance is so you can plan any languaging, emails, programming, whatever you want to do around these lifestyle practices. If you want to add things or change things or whatnot, so you know what's coming. So we got a little we're not really off track, but we're talking about preparation for the challenge in the pregame huddle. So in the pregame huddle, the other thing, I'm going to click on this link for the pregame huddle. If you guys haven't seen this, you should download the PowerPoint for the pregame huddle. Now, a couple of the slides still need to be updated with the new rules. And that really has very minimal effect on the presentation. So now that you guys have heard this talk, you know what the new rules are. You can make those changes. Though that will be updated probably again within the next 24 hours. But this is a lot better way to do it, to go through the PowerPoint, than to try to muddle through we used to give people, affiliate owners partners a login to the demo site. It's a nightmare. You can't remember what to do. You miss things. It's very cumbersome and very challenging to do that way. So just go through, use the PowerPoint. It's got everything outlined very clearly, systematically. I would suggest you go through it first, and you know what you'll be talking about. And it's really effective that way. At your pregame huddle, here's one of the other things that's a modifier to the game for you guys, is your preliminary workout. So again, just like the nutrition rules, we've purposely given you the freedom to create the workout that you think is best for all your members of your community. This is especially for those communities that are live and in person with each other. You can't necessarily dictate what people are going to do around the world or what they have available to do around the world. We have an official Whole Life Challenge workout that we've used now for the last 4 challenges. It's a very effective workout. There's a lot of great stuff in it. It's body weight. It's short. It's 11 minutes long. Feel free to use that if you want to. I've done it several times, and it's a hard workout. But considering the fact that you're in the presence of the people that are on your team, you know what they're focused on. You know what their training is about. You know what they are capable of doing, what they know how to do. You're welcome to create your own workout for this. And if you're among a group of people who are non-athletic, where running or walking is an accomplishment for them, it could be nothing more than various distances of runs or walks. You could set up a course that's a 1K. You could set up another course that's a 3K and another course that's a 5K. And you could let people run, walk, or whatever you want, as long as it's a measurable effort. And as long as the context you set up is go as hard as you can. So in your pregame huddle, you want to announce the workout. You want to announce the date and the time and the location for your preliminary event, and announce what the workout's going to be. And then in the preliminary event, so this is the last topic that I have to cover today, because this is all about pregame. Oh, by the way, if you need some incentive, if you want to incentivize people to show up for the pregame huddle, do a drawing for something, some prize. Make it fun. If you feel like you need to kind of entice people to show up for that. And then the preliminary event is again in the best case scenario, it happens first thing on Saturday morning. I'm just going to go to the link. Make sure you have a feel for how big your event's going to be in terms of the number of people, and that the logistics of running it with that number of people work. If you create a 30 or 45-minute workout that only 10 people can do at a time, and you have 50 people show up at your location, people are going to be waiting around for 3 or 4 hours to do the workout, and nobody really wants to do that. So figure that out. Do that in advance. We used to do those. We used to have really big preliminary events. We had one with over 200 people in attendance, and we would do it outside at a park, pray for no rain. And that's the way we would do it. Now, some of you live in inclement weather. Some of you live in where there's snow, unless you're snowshoeing or it's cross-country skiing, which I can't think of anything better, but maybe your people wouldn't like that so much. I don't know. Obviously, you got to take your local elements into effect in your planning. So we've got things like find a location, get a permit, create a plan. Here are the things you're going to need. You're going to need a staff of people to run the event. I mean, you want to think about this kind of like you would think about if you've ever participated in a 5K before. You show up to the event, people need to be directed where to go. So you need a check-in table. And in the check-in table, you would get their name, check them in, make them, even if there's nothing to do to check them in, just make them feel like they're checked in. But there is something to do. They get a scorecard, and they need to get themselves put in a heat, depending on the workout that you've got planned. And then what we used to do is we used to have coaches or managers or leaders be the measurers for body measurements. And we would send those people as they're checking in to a station with a measurer to get measured. And those people obviously need training on how to do it. We kept it very simple by using girth measurements. Obviously, the person that's using the tool, the measurement tool, needs to know how to use that tool. A body weight scale would be the easiest. All the way up to body fat measuring would be the most tricky. And then you need to have the logistics worked out for your workout, how you're going to do that. The more, I've got a whole list of things that you might want to have at your preliminary event. One of the things that is available to you to do is enter all the scores of your players yourself rather than making them go home and do it. And if you have a laptop on site and internet connection, you can enter the scores right there on the spot. You don't have to do that. You can send them all home and make them do it themselves and then verify their scores later. But that option is available to you. Okay, what else? Questions?
Hi, Andy. I have a couple of questions. I'm going to put my video on, but don't mind me. I'm making this phone call from bed today because I'm sick.
No problem.
Hi. So I was wondering, I have a few questions actually. So how is progress tracked? Is it by weight loss or is it by measurements? Like
what's the final, what is your final ranking based on?
Yeah.
Your final ranking, well, you really have a choice. We have some teams that do final ranking based on the simple checking in every day. They don't make it about the results people get. They make it about their habits over the course of the 8 weeks. You're welcome to do that.
Okay.
You probably have ties. So you'll have to deal with, like people that are perfectionists. You'll have a lot of people that have perfect scores, maybe. And you'll have to deal with ties. If you go by the finals board that we give you at the end of the challenge, we base it on improvement in workout by percentage and ranking. 25% of your final ranking is based on that. 25% of your final ranking is based on your body change. And 50% is based on your ranking from the daily habit check-ins. And there'll be a new leaderboard that pops up at the end of the challenge only for the people who've entered their preliminary and final numbers. They'll show up on the final ranking leaderboard.
Okay. And then, so we're having our kickoff on the 16th at a gym here in Boston. And we have a few people that can't make it to the kickoff,
right,
but they still want to participate. And is it easy for them to put in their measurements and to start off?
Yeah, they go into their profile page,
mm-hmm.
And it's right there. It's very, very simple. They click a button that says edit your score, and you go in and you put in your numbers, and yeah, it's very easy.
Okay.
You can see how they do it if you just log in as yourself.
Yep.
And go and just try it and see what shows up.
Okay. And then, so we wanted to make groups compete against each other. Do I make those groups?
Yes. So that's one thing we added in the last challenge is the ability for you guys to make subgroups inside of your official team.
Mm-hmm.
So you would go inside of your administrative controls, and you'll see a tab for sub teams.
Okay.
Sub teams, subgroups. Subgroups, I think.
Sub-teams.
Yep. And you would go in and you can put the person in charge of that team, and you can put anybody on those teams.
Okay, great.
People can actually self-select that as well. That's a brand new feature that we just are in the process of releasing. So if you have 300 people, you don't have to go in and organize the whole thing.
Okay. And then the last question I have for you is, what is the end date?
The end date is March. Becca, what's the date?
March 11, January 16 to March 11.
March 11.
Thank you. Okay, thanks so much.
You know, one of the things too, guys, if you've never done the challenge before and you're running a team, there's always confusion on day one, which is I can't do anything yet on the website. Nothing will change on the website until 8 p.m. that night. That's when you can go in and enter your score. So remember that. The other thing that is available to you guys before the game begins is the communication feed. So you can go in and you can create a captain's post, you can write stuff. The only requirement is that people are actually going in and checking it. So they're not going to see it if they're not logging into the game. That's not a problem once the game begins, because everybody will be going to the website every day. But pre-game, you do have the ability to go in and do that. You can do it from the iPhone app or from the website.
And so when you say that you don't have the ability to change until 8 p.m., will we be able to input scores? Our event's at 1, so if I wanted to input everybody's score, would I be able to do that?
Yeah, no. What I meant was at 8 p.m. that night is when people can enter their first day's score.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, because there's nothing to enter before that, because you're doing it on day one. You're doing your life. You got to wait till 8 p.m. to enter what you did. You can enter your preliminary scores anytime you want. Those are open and available to you to do even right now. I mentioned another confusing thing. The challenge, the actual last day of scoring is Friday. Is that the 11th or the 10th, Beck? Did I lose you?
Sorry, I was muted. Friday is the 11th.
Friday's the 11th. Okay, so Friday's the last day you're participating in the game. Friday night, you can enter your score for that night. And then typically the final event is on that Saturday. The finals event, the measurement, and if you're doing prizes, you do your finals event on that Saturday. But you don't have to live by the rules on Saturday. You can enter your score still Saturday for Friday. Saturday at midnight is the deadline for entering your score on Friday. Other questions?
I actually have a question. Do you guys have a sample or recommendation of workouts that you guys put together for teams to do?
We have the official workout that we've done in the past, and then I don't know. That's something that we should look in on can't just start surfing around because I'll confuse the hell out of everyone on this page. But that's something to look at inside of the resources. If not, I will get something put in there because we have a lot of workouts that we've done over the years. Bodyweight workouts and effective preliminary workouts that I can just easily copy and paste and stick in our article inside the Help Center.
All right, that would be great. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else? Let's see what's in this workout. Here's the workout. Oh, was that Sarah that asked that question about the samples of workouts?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was me.
So this is a great tool that we created in the last challenge, the workout matrix. It's a way to combine elements and create. I wish I could just, let's see, hold on, let me download it and pull it up. See what happens if I click it. Okay, so here we go. So for a endurance workout, a beginner, this would be a timed workout. Here's rowing or running a mile, rowing or running 10K, rowing or running 5K. Here's a body weight. Here's a sample of body weight for beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And here's a combination of the two. So those are nine examples.
Awesome. Thank you.
This is in under the exercise and mobility WLC preliminary workout matrix. Somebody just asked where it is. All right. Well, if questions come up, guys, as they invariably will, feel free to reach out to us at any time, Becca or myself. We're here to support you and help you and your teammates take it through the challenge effectively. We're really excited to have you guys on board, and thanks for showing up today.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the info.
You're welcome. Good to have you guys all here. Whoever I'm talking to.